blood pools beneath Grace O'Malley's feet. As the English magistrate raises his hammer, the crowd roars for her execution. But this pirate queen isn't going down without revealing secrets that will shake the very foundations of medieval justice forever. Welcome to the dark waters of medieval justice, where female pirates faced punishments so brutal, they make modern prison sentences look like luxury vacations. I'm talking about an era where being a woman on the high seas wasn't just dangerous, it was a death sentence waiting to happen. But here's what history books won't tell you. These women weren't just bloodthirsty criminals. They were revolutionaries, survivors, and strategic masterminds who challenged every rule society had written for them. From the Irish coast to the Mediterranean, female pirates carved out empires with nothing but steel, wit, and absolutely zero regard for anyone who tried to stop them. The punishments they faced weren't just about crime, they were about making examples, about showing other women what happens when you dare to step outside your proper place. We're diving into stories so shocking, they were deliberately erased from most historical records. Drop a comment right now if you're ready to discover punishments so brutal, they'll make you grateful you live in 2025. From psychological torture designed specifically for women, to public spectacles that drew crowds from across entire kingdoms, these aren't just stories about justice. They're about power, control, and what happens when unstoppable forces meet unmovable patriarchal systems. But what you'll learn today about these punishments will completely change how you see medieval justice forever. Let's start with Joan de Clisson, known as the Lioness of Brittany. Picture this, 1343, the French coast. Joan stands chained in a stone cell, but she's not just any prisoner. She's about to face a punishment so twisted, it was designed specifically to break women pirates psychologically before they ever reach the gallows, the shame cart. They strip her of her armor, dress her in rags, and parade her through every village between her capture point and Paris. But here's the psychological warfare part. They make her wear a sign listing not her crimes, but her failures as a woman. Wife who couldn't keep her husband alive, mother who abandoned her children, woman who dared command men. This wasn't about justice. This was about destroying her identity before they destroyed her body. But Joan? She uses every moment of that humiliating journey to recruit, whispering to women in the crowds, making eye contact, sharing information. The French thought they were parading a broken woman. They were actually helping her build a spy network that would plague them for decades. Team Joan or Team French Justice? Drop your vote in the comments. Now we travel north to the coast of Flanders, 1401. Meet Marguerite of Burgundy. Not the noble you're thinking of, but a pirate who stole that identity and used it to raid shipping lanes for 3 years before getting caught. Her punishment? The drowning cage. Picture a metal cage barely large enough for a human body, designed with weights and pulleys. But here's where it gets truly horrific. They don't just drop you in and let you drown. They lower you slowly, inch by inch, giving you time to contemplate every breath that might be your last. The medieval mind believed that slow drowning gave you time to repent. But for women pirates, there was an extra layer of cruelty. They would strip them naked first, claiming it prevented them from hiding weapons. Really? In a cage about to be dropped in the ocean? No, it was about humiliation, about making sure their final moments were stripped of any dignity or power they might have claimed in life. But Marguerite had one final trick. As the cage descended, she began singing, a haunting melody that carried across the water. Not a prayer or a plea for mercy, but a sea chanty that her crew knew by heart. Within minutes, 3 ships appeared on the horizon. Pause right here and guess what happens next. Did her crew rescue her, or was this her final song? The cage stops 3 feet above the waterline. Her first mate is on those ships with a full pardon from the Duke of Burgundy himself, bought with treasure they'd buried specifically for this moment. Marguerite didn't just survive her execution, she turned it into a recruitment tool, proving to every pirate from Scotland to Spain that no authority was absolute, no punishment was final. Our final story takes us to 1487, the Italian coast. Catalina de Rosso, known as the Lieutenant Nun, though her nun days were far behind her by then. She's captured after a raid that netted enough gold to buy a small kingdom. Her punishment? Being chained to the mast of her own ship, which would then be set on fire and pushed out to sea as a floating funeral pyre. But here's what makes this story absolutely insane. This wasn't a death sentence. This was a recruitment video. The Italian authorities thought they were sending a message. This is what happens to women who dare to be pirates. Instead, they created the most legendary image in Mediterranean pirate folklore. A woman chained but unbroken, sailing into the sunset on a burning ship like some kind of avenging angel. The image became a symbol. Within a year, female pirate activity in the Mediterranean increased by 300%. Women were literally sailing toward that image, wanting to join that legacy. But Catalina had one more surprise. Those chains? They were fake, made by her own crew from painted rope that would burn away safely. As the ship drifted beyond the harbor, she slipped free, dove into the water, and swam to a rescue boat that had been following at a distance. The burning ship? It kept sailing, empty, for 3 more hours, long enough for half of Italy to see it, and for the story to spread like wildfire. Team Catalina's brilliance or Team Italian justice system? Let me know below. But what happened next changed everything about how authorities dealt with female pirates forever. Here's the thing about these brutal punishments. They backfired spectacularly. Instead of deterring women from piracy, they created martyrs, legends, and recruitment tools that made the problem infinitely worse for authorities. These weren't just criminals being punished. They were women who refused to accept society's limitations, and their punishments revealed just how terrified those in power were of that refusal. Think about it in modern terms. Every time someone tries to make an example of a woman who breaks barriers, whether it's in business, politics, or any male-dominated field, they often end up creating exactly the kind of inspiration that leads more women to break those same barriers. The medieval authorities learned this lesson the hard way. By the late 1400s, they'd largely given up on public punishment spectacles for female pirates, realizing they were essentially funding the opposition's marketing campaigns. If you want to dive deeper into how these legendary women actually built their pirate empires from scratch, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're covering the secret codes and hidden treasures that are still being discovered today, because trust me, their treasure hiding techniques will blow your mind.